Well, I'm delighted to say that we're joined now by the President of the Royal Society of Medicine, Mr. B. Sethia. It's absolutely fantastic to meet you. Thank you very much for coming in and talking to us. And we're going to start by talking about this new relationship with ITN Productions. What do you hope to achieve over the year?
Well, I think it's a very exciting relationship that we are starting out on. I think if we can raise the profile of what we do at the RSM, as we call it, and also widen access, particularly to young people who may have an interest in healthcare and medical careers. The RSM is the voice of postgraduate medical education, and we should extend that into the undergraduate sphere. We should widen access in all sorts of ways, not just to healthcare workers, but also to the public.
This programme is called Doctors of the Future. Does that mean that you think the role of doctors is changing very much?
Well, the doctor's role has always been to care, since the time of Hippocrates. But we need to emphasize that element, and we do so now in partnership with our patients, much more so than perhaps has ever been the case before. So the role of doctors is to how to learn to work with patients more effectively, how to make sure that they themselves, or we ourselves, are properly informed about the issues, adequately consent to the treatments and the opportunities that are available, and also so that we help people to look after themselves better.
Looking at the way that doctors train themselves and are trained, a lot seems to be done, or increasing amounts seem to be done online. Is that something that you support? Do you feel that that's an important way forward?
It doesn't replace all aspects of previous training practices. Face-to-face training, for example, is still a very important component. But online training and online opportunities to learn gives you much more flexibility in all sorts of ways. First of all, in the breadth of the training that's available to individuals, the timing of that training, and the ability to reflect and to revisit issues that may need reinforcing as time goes on.
It's certain to say that you have a huge amount on, personally, but professionally as well. But as an organisation, the RSM has got global interests as well, hasn't it? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, we started a global health programme formally 5 years ago. Health is global, and health is a human right. So it's important that healthcare workers understand how to engage with that agenda. And it takes many forms. For example, the problem with air travel and so on is that you get exposure to diseases, infectious diseases and so on, that heretofore wouldn't have been the case. The most recent example of that would have been the Ebola crisis. And we were training people at the RSM from the UK for engagement in the Ebola response.
Now, my final question has probably got 100 different answers, which is what your objectives really are over the next year, what you would see as your key challenges.
Well, ultimately, we want to be seen as contributing hugely towards education in healthcare as a whole. The challenges that face the society in this country are really quite considerable. They don't just include the obvious sort of day-to-day concerns, but they encompass the challenges faced by an aging population. How do we provide care for aging population? How do we educate people in a time when we've become more and more specialized to recognize the breadth that's required in order to look after people effectively? How do we develop an appropriate response to the challenges of climate change and the health issues that surround that? And essentially, how do we enable people to take ownership of their own health care needs more effectively so that the country can afford to actually deal with the healthcare challenges that we all face? Those are the sorts of areas, just to name but a few.
Well, we certainly look forward to following your journey over this partnership, and thank you once again for coming in to talk to me today.
Pleasure.